Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Click OK, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So welcome one and all.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Morning.
Good morning.
Not too bad. Hi, Eli. How you doing?
Hello, Earth's a globe.
Hello, Earth is a globe, did you say?
Yeah, if you can't beat them, join them, you know. I just want to be happy.
Are you using Bayesian reasoning?
You guys.
Yeah. If I believe in the globe, I'm more likely to be happy and delusional.
I don't think that's true. I don't think believing in a globe is a prerequisite for happiness, I'm afraid, Eli. Sorry to shatter your illusions.
Well, it's best not to be awake when the creep is creeping.
If it was true that being on a globe brought you happiness, then we'd have no opposition whatsoever, would we? We would go around talking about Earth being flat, and people would be in blissful denial of what we do because they wouldn't care. They'd be so happy about being on a globe. In reality.
Yeah, touche. Then I would have to come here and argue with y'all and feel cognitive dissonance and all that icky stuff, you know, being intellectually dishonest and lying about it. No, that doesn't sound fun. You're right.
I mean, currently you've got JLB, who I'm sure you're all aware of, moaning that he's been kicked out of one of his little truther clubs that he hangs around. Can't remember the name of it. But he went in and was asking people who were claiming that the Charlie Kirk thing was all fake, and saying, how do you know? And as a result, he got banned. And then he's obviously gone and moaned about it on his own channel, which is perfectly within his rights to do. But whilst doing so, he made a video that he's asking the people who are 100% certain of fakery how they're 100% certain of fakery. But he started the video off by saying, your reality is controlled by you and what you want to perceive. If you want to be on a flat Earth, you can be. It's just down to what you want to experience. And if you want to be on a globe, you can be. It's just down to what you want to experience. And I wrote a quite... I don't typically write John Le Bon great long, massive reply comments. But as he asked the question, as in, do you 100% believe that this, that, and the other is fake? And my reply was, I know for 100% certainty that the media deceives us. Therefore, I try and pay it very little attention. However, you've opened this video by talking about your belief in being on a globe or being on a flat Earth being down to perception. And the one is dependent on the other. That is to say, to be on a globe, you rely upon mathematics that derive their origin from flat Earth measurements. Ergo, if you don't have any flat Earth measurements to appeal to in the first instance, you can't create a globe to believe in. One relies upon the other, as we've been going through with various different examples, be it wells in Cyan utilising elevation angle measurements off a flat baseline, that's a flat Earth measurement, or Al-Biruni deriving the height of the mountain off a flat Earth, that's another flat Earth measurement, or guys in Antarctica measuring flat Earth elevation angle measurements to the sun for a 24-hour period. unless you're Dave McKeegan and are outsmarted by a tripod and then you fail miserably. But other than Dave McKeegan failing to use a tripod correctly, the rest of the guys down in Antarctica measured Earth flat for 24 hours so that they could believe they're on a ball. So the measurements are flat Earth prerequisites in all examples. So you don't get to believe you're on a ball unless you accept Earth's measured flat. Here's an example on screen that can be rendered into sphericity with you in the centre of hell, measuring from the equatorial plane, positions of the sun with angles off a flat Earth. That is how Earth gets measured. Now, with those measurements, you can create an average, a sea level, that you can fly parallel to in level flight. These are just examples of things that stop people dying when they negotiate the terrain, that rely upon Earth being flat. If it's not, people crash into the ground because they don't have a system of acquiring level flight. But we do fly in level flight parallel to the ground, measured off sea level. So these things aren't in need of debate. They're self-explanatory. When I say ground level, it means something. And it's used in that way because we're using measurements from it. When I say sea level, it means something. We're utilising it for measurements. When I say level flight, that is self-explanatory. There's no need to debate these fundamental axioms of negotiating Earth's surface. When I talk about linear distance measurement applied in surveying, these are horizontal flat distance measurements that we do use to survey things. Now, you can deny horizontal distance measurement for surveying if you want, but that is how we measure Earth. So there is no debate. It's not about perception of being on a ball. Being on a ball relies upon measuring Earth flat first. So there is no being on a ball. There's just measuring Earth flat and then idiots from the church passing down a religious belief in a spinning ball sky vacuum religion based on flat Earth measurements.
I wanted to tell you he was in a chat the other day, but I never got around to telling you that.
I've spoken to JLB on many occasions, and I'm sure that will happen again in the future. But he's, for whatever reason, prefacing a video about truth numpties. And I totally get it. I agree with him on everything he said in his video. So I'm just going to have to clear my throat. Hold on. He's not being a troll when he goes to people who are in a quote-unquote truth community and say things like, we must ask questions. And he goes, okay, I've got a question for you. How'd you know? Ban him! How dare you detract? I find that quite hilarious.
We was talking about this the other day, Nath. Like, asking why is an attack, apparently, on someone.
Yeah, how'd you know? Don't ask me how I know. I'm telling you it's that... Well, no. When we're talking about things that aren't debatable, like surface level measurements, linear distances, these are utilised to erect buildings and fly and sail and make maps. So you want to debate about them? Piss off! No, I will not debate this with you, stupid retard, is my attitude. This is not debatable. We're talking about how Earth gets measured. You can deny these facts if you like, but that doesn't mean I'm going to debate them with you. They're not subjective. We're talking about objective measurements, reality, how it's dealt with. If someone comes to me says to me, how'd you know? Well, based on the measurements. That's how I'd reply. It's like, do you want to deny the measurements? Feel free. But when someone says, how'd you know that the media's faking everything? I don't know that. I know that there are many examples that I can point at where they've definitely lied. So it is therefore reasonable, in my opinion, to have a default position where there's a good chance they're lying. But events happen. Things do take place and do get reported on by the media. Same thing applies. Just because a media event has taken place off the back of some crazy numpty doesn't mean that the media won't take that opportunity to spin that event to whatever ends they wish. But it doesn't change that the event could well have still happened for them to then choose to manipulate it in a certain way for the benefit of their audience, which they absolutely do. But that doesn't mean that the default anti-truth, whatever you want to call them, auto-hoaxers position is automatically correct. No, it doesn't stand to reason that everything on the news is definitely a hoax. It could be that the event is real, but all of the story surrounding the event is a lie. And again, how do you establish this? And this is something where JLB and I definitely align, which is to say that you do your research, you go back through the story to the originator of the story. It's called primary source research. So that's what you do. Now, if you can't do that based on a media event, don't draw absolute conclusions because you're going to be made to look stupid. Definitely don't ban somebody who's just trying to ask you how you know. You know, humble yourself. Now, it's some unfortunate, some fortunate. If you like JLB, it's unfortunate. I quite like JLB, so I see this as quite a fortunate circumstance for all the auto hoaxers out there. Somebody's mumbling through me. Go ahead.
I don't understand your affinity with this guy, JLB. He's a numpty. And by the way, is 2 + 2 debatable?
No.
Neither are the measurements.
No, as I say, I put that in a comment underneath JLB's video because he opened it with, if you want to be on a flat earth, you can be. It's just down to how you want to perceive the world. No, it isn't.
Yeah, and he does these types of things. Since I've known this guy, he slips those things in there. Well, you can believe what you want to believe. Well, that's fine, but this is not a belief. Like you said earlier, built upon flat, sailed upon flat, flown over flat, measured flat, everything.
Yeah, that's just how it is. Now, after, 10 years of researching this subject, you come to further conclusions, which is that because that is the case, and in order to believe you're on a ball, you must utilise flat earth measurements, you must turn flat earth into something else. That's where there's a crossover with JLB. Because the numbskulls in the truth community who declare absolutes about fakery are also, in some instances, flat earthers. They're edged into the community, of flat earth through these conspiracy subjects. Why? So that they can talk about 9/11 being an inside job and Mandela effect and clone centres. Charlie Kirk being a hoax. All this sort of stupid nonsense that will get people ridiculed and disbelieved when they say, well, Earth's flat. Now, maybe you could say that we are already tarnished because we've come from those paths also. Many of us have made our way to this subject via conspiratorial means. And I'm as guilty as next man of talking about certain aspects, even if it's in the negative, right? This is where I draw the parallel with JLB. So if you're going to talk about how something isn't real, you need to know that it's the case. And if you don't know, but have woken up to the reality of the news being manipulative and liars, why give it any attention? And his general demeanour in his video is to say, if you're going to appreciate where you're being lied to, why then spend hours and hours and hours dedicated to TV media fakery? If you know it's fakery, why wouldn't you turn your back on it? Now, he also gave an answer that's potentially going to come from their lips straight after you ask them, which is to help next man. Now, for me, I'm sure people who are regular audience members have heard me say many a times, it's like, I don't care about next man. I do care about the community I've built because I've got extremely supportive, good people who do want me to do what I do while I talk about this subject that we've spent 10 years researching. But waking up Captain Edgeware isn't my priority. I don't care if he wants to believe he's on a ball while simultaneously denying the flat earth prerequisites he must use to believe he's on a ball, saying that they're inaccurate when Biruni's measuring surface level to do trig. That's just him measuring Earth flat to do trig, and if he isn't, he's not doing trig anymore. But, you know, being in the difficult position that ballers find themselves in, between the rock and the hard place, is nothing more than it's an amusement to me. But do I care that he won't wake up tomorrow not a flat earth? I don't care. Be a baller, I don't care. Same goes to the TV fakery. I don't care if you want to believe that literally everything on the news is 100% fake and made up. It's not. In my opinion, it's not. Many aspects get manipulated. It doesn't mean that everything on the news is fake. I just don't. I can't accept that. Yeah? But there's many people out there that do. And JLB's attitude is, well, why are you looking at it then? If you know it's all nonsense, why would you spend any time looking at it?
I see we got people active in chat again today. Using the tools alone will make a measurement at that time inaccurate. Ignore a refraction as well. I guess they're talking about the Al-Biruni thing.
But Al-Biruni's not measuring Earth accurately then. Okay. So your origin story's garbage. Okay. No worries. You say that Al-Biruni didn't do a very good job. No worries. What a rubbish story. You've been telling this rubbish story that's inaccurate for thousands of years. What a bunch of idiots. You don't seem to realise that we're using hostile witnesses. Yeah, you're more than willing to toss Al-Biruni under the bus when it turns out he's measuring what's on screen now, elevation angle measurements. The mountains. Yeah, he is. If he isn't, he can't do trig. If you want to say it's not accurate, okay, your origin story isn't accurate then. But part of your origin story, whether you say it's accurate or not, is measuring Earth flat. I mean, that is just a fact. See this little 90-degree symbol here? Yeah? That little 90-degree symbol is required to do trig. Earth has to be flat for Al-Biruni's method to work. Now, you can toss it under the bus all you like. It's not my story. As Captain Edgware, again, found out yesterday. When he started saying, so what, do you trust in Al-Biruni? It's not my story. I don't need to. There's plenty of other examples of men measuring Earth flat for straight line distances and heights of mountains. You know, they were given by, one example of measuring Everest from 100 miles away was given by Brian's logic immediately afterwards. It's like, do you not think every single example ever of measuring Earth requires it to be flat? It does. There aren't any exceptions. But I pick the ones that they rely on. So when they start tossing them under the bus, I go, okay, so your stupid, goofy, nonsensical origin story's crap then. It's inaccurate. It doesn't work. Because his methodology is flawed because he's using a flat baseline to do trig with it. So he needs Earth to be flat, but you say it isn't. So therefore, okay, so you toss Al-Biruni out the window. I say he did measure Earth flat. Now, there's nothing they can say when they say, well, he got it wrong. Oh, your story's wrong according to you, but it's still written in the history books as in measuring Earth flat, though, isn't it? You don't have to like it, even though you deny it and say it's inaccurate. That is how it's written down in the books. This 90-degree angle is required by Al-Biruni for his measurements. He requires Earth to be measured flat. Regardless of you saying, I don't like that, I don't like his measurement, it's not accurate, it's not accounted for refraction. Okay, good for you. You can say that all you like. Doesn't change the method he used. He used a flat Earth for trig. End of statement of fact. Same goes for flying. Well, you want to deny that they fly across a surface level, measured from sea level. Okay, no worries. There's an entire industry of flight based on these principles of measuring Earth at surface level, ground level, and heights above it in level flight when flying all over the surface of the world. You don't have to like that. Yeah. That is how it's done.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was speaking to a baller yesterday, and I was going through flight corridor when planes ascend and descend into and out of an airport, and how that's just trigonometry. And she provided some sort of source with a measurement from one mountain to another, and the first sentence talked about the height of the mountain. And I said, what's that right there? What's that height from? She's like, sea level. I'm like, okay, so everything else that's being talked about is going to be happening after having taken the Earth as measured flat right here in the first sentence. Yeah. No.
Yeah, exactly. So long as we take a flat Earth measurement, we can then start talking about how a ball is derived from it. Yeah. So long as we accept that Earth must be and is measured flat in all instances, then we can start talking about how, oh, well, it's more accurate from a ball once we include refraction. Does that change the trig? Does that change the surface level? Does that change sea level? Does that change altitude perpendicular to sea level? No. All of those things are axiomatically requiring a flat Earth to talk about them. Despite you saying, well, no, they're not accurate. So the flat Earth measurements that we must measure to move forward in this discussion aren't accurate, says you. It doesn't change the history books. It doesn't change the measurement, does it? You saying it's not accurate doesn't change anything. Like Dave McKeegan saying this is a curve. Really? See this little 60 with a number next to it? That's a degree measurement. It's two straight lines. The diagram having a curve like this doesn't mean that 90 isn't 90 anymore. 90 is still 90, whether you want to bend this line or not. This must be straight, or everything about this measurement fails. And they don't seem to like that. They seem to want to tell us that, well, you've got your measurements wrong. No, I haven't. This is how it's documented as being done on Earth by people who measure Earth, not me or you.
Well, it seems like as long as it shows it on the picture that it's real. But I like what Eli did. He stopped her before she could move on. That's what we got to do. We got to stop them. Once they're using a flat Earth, we got to stop them right there. That's it. You're not going to whistle right past it and go into all your other nonsense. Right here, you're measuring Earth flat. So let's not move from here.
In the pre-show, you were talking about the people in other servers who discuss medical affairs and various other news hoax events and things of that nature, right? In Flat Earth servers. And we've been saying for the last 12 months that there's no debate, but there needs to be a perception of a debate so that the ambiguity can be injected into anybody who comes across this subject. Now, but for the fact that most flat earthers don't talk about flat Earth, there wouldn't be any discussion. There'd just be us talking about the measurements and how they are flat. Not, oh, they're flat, but he hasn't accounted for a fraction. If he accounts for a fraction, he can't do trig. Earth has to be flat to take this measurement. You don't have to like it. But that's the end of the discussion if you discuss how Earth is measured. But that isn't what flat earthers do. They talk about Paul McCartney being dead. Don't they?
Who would ever say something like that? I wouldn't bring that up in a flat Earth discussion.
Got people like Dave Weiss talking about 9/11 being an inside job. Architects for 9/11, that's his shtick, right? That's the crap spewed by Dave Weiss, and it makes us all look like idiots.
That's the design, Nathan.
Yeah. So gather up the most idiotic, numbskull, dipshit flat earthers you can find and get them to spew nonsense about there being no forests on a flat Earth. And then... Thanks for opening your line with an alarm going off, Eli. What did you want to say? Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I was just gonna say, to be fair, while we can, like, flat Earth is the one thing we actually can prove, like 9/11, other than the fact that it was an event, there isn't anything else that you can actually prove. Still, though, people do enjoy pointing out inconsistencies within a narrative. And for whatever it's worth, I don't want to poo-poo those people. The problem is you have these figureheads that, do talk about these things as if they are certain. And that's the difference. I mean, just like flat Earth has been hijacked, so is Bayesian reasoning, I guess. I mean, you're supposed to be cracking a beer, talking about how the government is full of crap and how this is what happened to you directly during this time period and how you know that that's the case. Like, and that's where it's supposed to end, because what else are you going to do other than improve your life personally?
Other than improve, just do that. Just do that bit. Just improve your personal life. Your life personally, however you want to phrase it. Just a quick shout out to Simeon Nav. Good day from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, we can't change history, and it's deemed to repeat itself over and over again. The next wave of flat earthers will be conspiratorial nut jobs. And if we go and look on TikTok, I'm sure that the next generation of flat earthers are conspiratorial nut jobs. Am I wrong?
Absolutely not wrong about that, unfortunately.
Right. There you go. What more can you say? other than banging a drum about Earth being measured flat, which in many ways is redundant. I think that regardless of what we do here, regardless of if we are in this community talking to other people who are already converted to the facts that we disseminate to them, eventually the bull religion will fail. Can't hide how Earth's been measured. You have to incorporate it into the bull religion. It's utilised for the bull religion to exist. Like I say, you can only attempt to mask that for so long.
I don't think they were ready for it, though. I think this has taken them by surprise.
You think us talking about Earth being measured flat? No, I don't think we've taken them by surprise. I think that's the very reason that you need to create a community and lead them to flat Earth from conspiracy subjects in the first place. The reason we were led here by algorithm, that's YouTube in this instance in modern times, is so that we could talk about conspiracies rather than flat Earth. Because if you don't, you just have people saying, well, that's how Earth gets measured.
No, that's not what I mean. I don't think they realized that it would still be going on after 10 years and gaining momentum in our positive, right? By this time, it should be disbanded. I don't think they accounted for the internet and me being able to speak to people in other countries like like it's nothing. I don't think they were ready for that. It's just my opinion.
Sure, but in the same way as if you just destroy the printing press, you can't put the information out to the masses. If you algorithmically censor us, then we only reach the people that we reach, and we can be put into what is rightly argued as being a circle jerk, an echo chamber. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter how open my door is. If you put the bar in the middle of the desert, there's not going to be any passers-by from the globe side in this instance, is there? Well, that's what they've metaphorically done. They've stuck us out in the wilderness so that there's nobody walking by. There's 63 people watching. I've got 25,000 subscribers. 63 people watching. Does that mean we're going out to the masses? Does that mean that this has been put under the nose of anybody who isn't already acutely aware of what we do? No, it isn't. Absolutely not.
You're wrong. You think, all right, that's what you have. But if you think that this show hasn't reached further, you're out of your mind.
Maybe I should go back to constantly asking the chat to share the show via their general means of sharing things. X and Facebook and MySpace and Bebo. Please share the show if you've not done so already. Let's see if we can get up to 100. Let's see if my audience, the 63 people currently watching, let's see if we can actually get the numbers up to a reasonable, decent, or half decent a number. Let's see if we can get to 100 people by the end of the show. If you are connected to a Twitter account, that's X, or a Facebook account, click the share button and say live now, or something like that. Who have we got in Discord? Bushel, Dank, Fishman in a Box, Flat Arthur, Steve, and Vaxi. Hello, gentlemen. I assume you're all gentlemen.
Good morning.
Fisherman!
Hey, gentlemen and lady.
There's a lady in there. Who's the lady? Bushel. Vaxi came off mute.
Oh. Good morning.
I was about to say.
I'm the lady. Yeah, that's me.
I'm a lady. Little Britain.
Hey, if the size 7 fits.
One more time, Eli.
If the size 7 fits.
Oh, don't start. Did you not hear from his interactions with the guys in 24/7 that he's got the best of intentions? Did you not get
Well,
that
first
vibe
of all,
from him?
that in particular, what we heard, I have to say you didn't do anything wrong. So whatever.
So
I-
whatever.
I'm not even gonna. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah. That you were solid there. I don't know what the surrounding context is, or if there was anything said before then, but from what I heard, okay, whatever.
It sounds like to me like Vaxie's just trying to get everybody to argue these points correctly because there is no argument anymore. It's not a debate. It's just a fact that Earth is measured flat. And when people get detoured into these stupid conversations, it's frustrating to me as well. You see what happened to you, Eli? You were talking to, of course, a girl. And once she said height, you ended it right there. You didn't let it go into neutrinos. You didn't let it go into anything else. Listen, here it is.
Didn't let it go into neutrinos.
You gotta say with like, I told her, I was like, with all due respect, like this right here, this height of the mountain, like right there, that's a flat Earth measurement. It was measured that way, and so if we're gonna talk about how it's not flat after having done that, with all due respect, I don't want to sour our relationship by arguing past each other. You know, it was pretty cool. She had said that what was it? Was it intellectual dishonesty on her end? But in the end, she also said on both ends, and I was like, well, explain how. Of course, the way that I asked, she couldn't really detail how that was the case for me, but she did admit intellectual dishonesty and other things. I'm like, that's my problem with you. Like, how do you admit that, like, point blank, and hear everything I said but still be a Glover? I don't get it.
But you're saying she accused you of intellectual dishonesty for pointing out that the mountain's measured off sea level?
Not even directly. She was trying to say we're all, intellectually dishonest. Like,
are we? I like that.
That's what I said.
But that's
what I just said.
It's like when you're in trouble for something, but you're at a party. You as the individual have done something wrong, but suddenly the explanation for it is, well, we were doing this and we were doing that. No. You are guilty of this intellectual dishonesty you're talking about. That's not got anything to do with me. There's no we when we talk about your intellectual dishonesty. Let's not try and expand it out to dilute it.
If anything, we're the most honest. Like I was listening to a show yesterday. It was the show where Refracted and Brian went at it when you used Brian as an example, which you had a line a little bit, but I understood what you were doing.
Who?
And Adam said he doesn't lie. Okay, you don't lie now, but in the past we've all lied, and that's what you were trying to say when you said everybody lies. At one point, we've all have lied. Now, maybe now you don't lie. I try not to lie. I try to be as honest as I can, especially in this topic, because we don't need to lie. There's nothing to lie about.
Yeah, when we're talking about objective reality, it's not something that you need to lie about. I mean, if you're on a ball tip, then yeah, you need to lie frequently.
Yeah, but even in that lie, you're telling the truth, right? Because it comes from a flat earth. You can't get around it.
Yes, it's an interesting subject that we find ourselves in. It just frustrates me that we're surrounded by conspiratards. That's annoying.
Item in the bagging area. Each item must.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know why it unmutes like so delayed. But yeah, I also want to mention that this young lady tried to talk about everything but the kitchen sink, by the way. So it's that reread machine where you're pressing Coke and they're just giving you everything else. But I didn't allow her to, and I didn't get into a shouting match. But like, she came in on a conversation where I was talking about flat Earth measurements. So you know, every like two interactions or no, five interactions, I would say, because other people are trying to jump in. I'm like, how come we got away from the flat Earth measurements? How come that's like what's going on there? That happened 3 times. Does anybody notice? So I kept bringing it back to it, and I mean, she even wanted to talk about gravity with someone else. And it's not like I shut the conversation down. I was like, it's interesting. I was like, how come you're here, right? You're interested in literally everything else. The one thing that you're the least interested in is flat Earth stuff. Like, you didn't even
The
mention
proof.
anything about what I said.
Sounds
And
like
you
she was
keep on
least
not
interested in
talking
the.
about
Sorry, I thought you were done. Sounds like she was
No, yeah,
not
you're right.
interested in the truth and the proof. Like, here's the proof. All right, let's talk about gravity. All right, look, here's the proof. Earth is measured flat. Let's talk about tides.
Scan coupon now. Touch the
Well,
continue
yeah,
button
but doesn't
if finished.
tides go right back into gravity though?
Your
It's all the
total
same
is
thing.
52.38. Please select your
$52? Huh? The hell you buying for breakfast, Eli?
Sorry.
Well, if he lives in New York, it's probably just a bagel for $52.
A bagel.
That's a good one.
But you're right. They don't want to discuss the subject. They want their bias affirmed. So hence, when you go to flat Earth measurements, I mean, you can take them there from gravity if you choose as well.
Absolutely. Why don't you do it for us, Nathan? If somebody comes in and you lay out the measurements and I say gravity, take it forward.
Depends on which gravity you're talking about. If you're talking about Newtonian gravity, then it's perpendicular to the plane of reference. It's down. They're suggesting a force of down. There is no down on a ball. There's in, there's out. There's no down. That's a flat Earth perpendicular. It requires Earth be a plane of reference to describe moving down in an orientation perpendicular to the plane of reference. Hence, when you're weighing things accurately, you'll level your tool.
I was talking about space-time. Are you behind, sir? Didn't you
Space-time's
hear that Einstein is space-time?
space-time's also flat.
How so?
I mean, how so? Fourth dimensional
You have to
time
bend away.
dimension. Go ahead.
You have to bend away from something.
Yeah, exactly. Asymptotically flat plane of reference, if you're talking about Einsteinian fourth dimensional space-time bending. Talking about length, breadth, and depth with the extra added dimension of time being bent. But the plane described throughout space-time is flat. Now, for me, it's not about describing Newtonian or Einsteinian as being flat. It's debunking these made-up concepts at their core. So for Newtonian, yes, you can describe how it's perpendicular to a plane, but the actual concept in Newtonian gravity is mass attracting mass. Ergo, your mass of gas is going to be attracted to the mass of Earth. And that is not how gas behaves. Hence, Newtonian gravity was superseded 110 years ago by bent pseudo-Riemannian spacetime, invented in the mind's eye of a man named Einstein. Now, time is a concept. Something else that JLB was discussing in his recent video. People who say that time doesn't exist. You're like, well, it doesn't. It's a concept. You can utilize it to describe things based on our arbitrarily ascribed version of this conceptual description. Again, based on movements of the lights in the sky, averaged. But time itself is just a concept. It's like love. Can you bend love? No, is the answer. But these conceptual mediums being bent after being invented by Einstein, it's meaningless nonsense. If you're going to talk about how Earth is, it's like, well, let's get to the nitty-gritty of the practically applied measurements of Earth. If you want to describe whether or not it's flat or spherical because you perceive there to be a debate here, then we go to the measurements. We don't go to a conceptual fourth-dimensional time bending. That's got nothing to do with how the surface of Earth is dealt with. How the surface of Earth is dealt with is how it is measured. Flat. For the ball. The measurements are the arbiter of this subject, and virtually nobody in this subject arena talks about the measurements. And for the last, year and a half, 2 years, well, we've been saying it's all that matters. We've been told, I don't like that argument. It's like, what, you don't like the measurements of Earth being the arbiter of a flat Earth discussion? We're surrounded by idiots. I don't like the people in the community that we find ourselves in because they're idiots. And I dislike that. Like, you don't want the measurements to be what we talk about. Get lost. Why are you even in this community? Oh, so you can talk about Mandela effect and clone centres, whether or not Charlie Kirk was actually killed. That's what you want to be in this subject for? Get lost. I despise you. Earth's measured flat and you don't want to talk about it. Well, then you're in the wrong subject. If you are one of those flat earthers that doesn't want to talk about how Earth gets measured, get out of this community. Like, get lost. I don't want you here. You're a waste of time. You're a waste of space. The only thing that arbitrates whether or not Earth's flat or not is how it's measured. There's nothing else that can dictate what Earth is, because flat versus spherical is a measurement. And in terms of how curvy Earth is, we measure that too. It's called rise over run. How hilly the world is, that's the curve of the Earth, the real curve of the Earth, is measured with rise over run. But yet we've got idiots on the flat Earth side that say they don't like talking about measurements of Earth. It's just pure idiocy. Like, it couldn't be any more stupid.
Well, it's boring, Nathan. It doesn't lead into anything, you know? You can't show yourself intellectual superior. But if you talk about neutrinos and things like that,
I knew that was
you
coming.
can show how intellectual you are.
We talk about the neutrinos. So how do neutrinos arbitrate what shape, I hate using that word, but for convenience, what shape Earth is? How do they have any bearing on that, Neil?
They don't.
Well, it does have a bearing. I mean, when I was listening to Indio talk about it with the guy with the ponytail, they were talking about measuring depression angles for the distance and journey of these neutrinos. So to describe the journey of a neutrino, as was being discussed, you require Earth to be measured flat for the depression angle that's detailed as it enters the ground.
Right.
So you need a flat Earth measurement to quantify the journey of a neutrino. It's referencing measurements of surface with an angle. So Earth's being measured flat for neutrinos. There aren't any exceptions. I can take literally almost anything that's detailed for Earth measurement and turn it into a flat Earth measurement, because it's always going to be utilized in that way.
Hold on. You're talking about neutrinos. They're very hard to detect, right? And now all of a sudden you can track them, and all of a sudden you could track them, and everything is off a flat plane. I understand that. But the whole thing is a bunch of nonsense. That's my point.
Sure, but to describe nonsense in this instance, you still need Earth to be flat to detail its journey. Now, I'm not suggesting that I know what a neutrino is or have validated neutrinos, nor do I care. But when people who believe or can validate neutrinos discuss their proposition with others, they will and can only utilize flat surface level to describe that journey. Like I say, I'm not validating that means that they're true. I don't care either way. But Earth will be utilizing flat plane and basic geometry to describe that. Ergo, you will require a flat Earth to detail it. So if me, if push comes to shove and someone starts talking to me about neutrinos, I don't care about neutrinos, but you will measure Earth flat to describe this and qualify it in any way, shape or form to me or the audience. So we're going to need a flat Earth for this. True or otherwise.
Correct. A neutrino is a neutral subatomic particle with a mass close to zero and half-integral spin, rarely reacting with normal matter. 3 kinds of neutrinos are known, associated with the electron, muon, and how do you say this? Tau particle? There you go. Neutrino.
Okay. Wonderful. How lovely. In isolation, sod all to do with the surface of Earth and its measurements. But the people who are talking about this kind of crap are hesitant to talk about the measurements of Earth, but will let it slide when their opponents talk about depression angles with respect to a horizontal planar reference and not think they're talking about measurements. It's idiotic. Very irritating. Same people say, I don't want to talk about measurements of Earth. Goes nowhere. Right, until your opponent starts talking about neutrinos and depression angles. Then you need Earth to be flat to carry on that conversation with them, to make yourself sound smart. Irritating. Appreciate how you're incorporating a flat Earth into your discussion and just use that if you're going to argue about how Earth is flat. But they're not. These people want intellectual masturbation. They don't want to prove anything. They want to show how smart they are to their opponent.
And on top of it, it kind of bothered me a little bit because you and QE never do this to us over here. He turned around and said, we're not going to talk about that because my audience is not going to understand it. They're going to be talking right past them. How does he know? There was a few people in there. I'm sure a few people knew what neutrinos were. So, I don't know. The whole thing bothered me. Like, took it totally away from what are you there for? I don't care if it was a bait and switch where it was a conversation, then all of a sudden the guy made it a debate. That's even better. You should have nailed him to the wall once he turned it into a debate by taking full control of that conversation. We are in the authoritative position, not 2015 anymore.
Well, saying that you're not going to talk about a topic because your audience isn't going to understand. If you understand the topic, you should be able to make it so the audience can understand, right? Isn't that the whole point? Like, what's wrong with learning new things? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't have an answer for that.
to be as accurate as possible, India was telling the Dr. Blitz that his audience wouldn't understand all the ins and outs. So
I
why
don't care.
talk?
But how do you know that, Eli? How do you know that? To me, he was looking down on his audience. Like, I know about this, you know about this, but they don't know about this. I'm the smart guy here.
Yes, it's his way of elevating himself above his own audience.
But essentially, India did the same thing in regards to, like, you know, gravity and the second law of thermodynamics, you know, because he said, well, no one's going to grasp what you're saying. So, I mean, I don't know.
Wow, I didn't hear that. But then again, I didn't hear the whole thing. I got too annoyed.
Well, that was the whole point of, like, the last hour and a half yesterday or however long it was. That's what we were trying to find in those videos, remember?
Yeah, I was on the road, so I was going in and out. But QE's going to be upset because everything that was sent to me by AI, it just doesn't, it says unavailable. So for some reason, everything he sent me is unavailable.
What you mean is you've gone to what used to be a Google search, got some information, and then when you want to represent it, it's not conducive with current globe Earth narratives, therefore it just vanishes. Correct?
No. I got the videos from somebody in Discord sent them to me. Of the ones that QE was looking for yesterday. They're like shorts. One of them was a long one, but when I went to play them, it says not available. So I got to figure out how to get them.
Oh, I thought those are the ones pertaining to around the holiday season about Sigma, Octantis, and crap. Never mind.
Yeah, and there was also the one with you and him with gravity. But they weren't available, so it doesn't matter.
No, the gravity one that we were looking for, yes, it's there. It's just searching through all the, when you got an 11 video and you're looking for like a 2-minute chunk of that video, it's a nightmare to find.
I'm not saying it's not available for you. What he sent me, I cannot play. It says it's unavailable for me. So I have to go back in, speak to the guy I was speaking to, and have him resend it to me and see what's going on.
Do a quick shout out. So we've got 78 people watching, which is obviously improvement. So somebody's definitely clicked the share button. Thank you very much if you have. If you haven't, 78 people watching, please share the show. Really easy to do. There's a little button that says share. You click on it, press your favourite social media platform, be it Bebo or MySpace or whatever appears in that little list, probably Twitter or Facebook, and just stick the link to the show by clicking on it. It's 2 clicks. And it'll automatically populate your post with a little link to this show. So if you haven't done so already, please share the show. And if you have, thank you very much for sharing.
I shared it on 4 platforms.
What's all 4? Bebo and MySpace and Facebook and Twitter.
Facebook, X. I sent it to WhatsApp and Messenger.
Messenger's just Facebook.
Yeah, but I have a different app because that it reaches a different variety of people.
Ah, fair enough. Jolly good. Well, hopefully a few more people in the audience will do the same. And we'll go out on a bang on this Friday afternoon.
We didn't do any housekeeping today. What's going on?
You want to end the week with a bit of housekeeping, do you?
No, but you didn't do it. But I wanted to get into a little bit about the horizon because being refracted, everybody, we discussed it that we could say it's physical, it's just not tangible, but I don't think we could say that either. Because, physical, you can see it with your senses, your eyes, but it also says that it has to be concrete or tangible to call it physical. So the horizon is not physical. Neither are stars, because I can't touch them.
Right, but one component of the horizon, which is the surface of the boat that you're floating in, going out into the distance till it appears to meet the sky, that part's physical. No, it's weird. You're right, though.
Yeah, because we could say rainbows are physical because we could see them, and our sight is one of our senses. But when I further looked into it, it has to be tangible, concrete to call it physical. Or we could talk about the refractive index.
We could. We probably won't.
The not actual refraction index.
I do find it interesting, and I pat ourselves on the back and puff out our chests when people like Buck Sodbuster, they go to all these different platforms, but they will not come and engage over here. They'll engage in a chat and send me hundreds of messages, and then I'll catch his ass in Earth Awakening sitting right in a Discord server with his mic wide open talking, but he won't do it here. I wonder why. Andy Faulkner's another one of those guys that does that. Sucks being at the top.
It's like
nobody wants to be around you.
It's like burglarizing a house that has a bunch of chihuahuas in it versus one that has a bunch of German shepherds, right?
Yeah, but they hide behind, you know what they hide behind? Well, Nathan's just nasty. He won't allow me a chance to speak. Oh, I guaranteed him that I will make sure. Of course, I can't. I threw a little ease out there for him. I said, I'll make sure he gets uninterrupted.
Why would you give him that guarantee? If you're going to talk nonsense, I'll interrupt you and point out that you're talking nonsense.
Yeah, I just want to get him in. I said I'd get to him a little cheese. I said, don't worry, I'll guarantee you won't get interrupted.
You can't guarantee that.
No kidding, that's what I said. I said, I can't guarantee that. I didn't say that to him. But Nathan, it's an excuse. Fully rolled. That's not the reason why they won't come in here. They won't come in here because they get their ass handed to them because they'll talk about nonsense and we'll call them on it. And we'll bring them to the measurements and then they can't go anywhere. Like I said, if it's on a diagram, then that means it's real. He said his sixth grade nephew pointed to the 90-degree angle as F on his diagram. He had it labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, but he had it coming from the center. And he had it drawn curved like Earth on top of it. I mean, that doesn't mean you could get a 90 on it unless it's flat. Now look, see, once I mentioned that, 5 messages just popped up from Discord from him. You know where we are. Buckside Buster, you coward. I busted you in Earth Awakenings. Why won't you join us now? Tap off the mute button and have a conversation. We're friendly hippos.
I'm not friendly.
Hippos look nice and gentle until they throw a watermelon in there and watch how they break that with their jaws. I think we're too intimidating, Nathan. That's what it is.
You think so?
Well, why else would somebody that sends a million messages not just come off mute? And I thought it was maybe he just doesn't do the Discord thing. There's a lot of people like that they don't join. They rather just stay in chat. We call them chat skanks. But I did notice he was live in freaking Earth Awakenings.
Yeah, but Earth Awakenings isn't a flat Earth server.
You say it's
Oh,
not.
so this is what you get. You or Nathan are welcome to join me at any time on Earth Awakenings. We can both speak without being muted. Listen, buddy, this is a platform here. Why would we go to another platform? That's like the Kansas City Chiefs saying, well, we got our own stadium, but, I know it's a home game this week, but we'll elect to play that in a baseball stadium. Come on. Stop being a coward and join. You will not get muted unless you start talking nonsense and you got diarrhea in the mouth.
Terrible analogy.
Well, he feels guilty because he's the one that provided the pitch data. Oh boy, he couldn't even read it. Couldn't make sense of it. I don't even know how to read it. Yeah, Brian, here, take it. I mean, maybe you could make some sense out of it.
"71 people watching." Right. Anything else we're going to cover? If not, I'm going to round out this live show. Didn't get to 100. Very disappointing.
Well, we could talk about if one flat Earth measurement is enough, one rotating curve measurement is enough. So not flat and not curved.
One rotating curve measurement. What's that?
They don't have one. I've never seen one.
Yeah, all of the measurements are reliant on Earth being measured flat at surface level. There aren't any exceptions to that. All we get is people apologising for how inaccurate their gurus' measurements are.
So he's embarrassed that he got the pitch data. He gave up. So he's acting like he played Brian like a fiddle. No?
Giving Brian the pitch data was playing Brian. I mean, you can tell yourself that. All right, is that it? We're going to round out?
I guess so.
In that case, with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.